I just lied to all of you. So what's the point? I just didn't understand the point. I just wanted it to be over. This book is funny. It's January 10th, we're 10 days into the year, and I still feel like it's early enough that we can be setting goals, addressing goals, planning for goals, reflecting on years past. And one thing about me, I love goals. I love tasks. I love checklists. I love completing things. I love working towards things. So I've decided for 2025, I'm going to have a goal-oriented reading year. I am historically a mood reader. I, first of all, will not read if I'm not in the mood to. And then second of all, I won't read something I'm not in the mood to read. I would like to change that, one, because if I want to be creating consistent reading content, I have to overcome maybe not being in the mood to read all the time. I have to just do it. And it's like, seems like an easy thing that I can overcome because like when I'm reading, I'm enjoying it. So like there's just like that initial like starting reading that I would need to overcome. Like, I don't want to start reading. I'd rather like just watch TV or something. It's just like that, just overcoming that little hurdle, and then I'm in it and I'm loving it. So I want to overcome like reading even if I'm not necessarily immediately in the mood to read. And then I also want to overcome like if I'm reading something and I'm not enjoying it, or if I have an idea for a reading vlog, or like I'm just trying to complete a reading goal and there is a book that would fit into that vlog or fit into that goal that I am not in the mood to read just that specific thing. I want to overcome that too, because if I want to achieve these goals that I have, I need to like do it whether I really want to be doing it in that moment or not. So this reading vlog is going to be achieving some, or starting to achieve some goals. Obviously, I'm not going to achieve these goals until the end of the year, but I want to be starting to work towards these goals in the form of reading challenges. So this year I want to complete a few year-long reading challenges. Ones that in the past I've been aware of and kind of passively was working towards, but I wasn't really working toward it the entire year, and I wasn't really being super intentional about it. But we're in the beginning of the year, we're setting goals, we're working on goals, we're planning for the rest of the year, and I'm saying right now on January 10th that I want to do these reading challenges. I want them to help me inform my reading and find things that I want to read. Because the other thing, like on the same side of the I'm just not in the mood to read coin, is I am in the mood to read. I just don't know what to read. Kind of like when you're hungry, anything sounds good, and then you just like spend the next few hours looking for something to eat in your phone until everything closes and then you go to bed without eating. Like that's me with reading sometimes. Like I want to read and every book I have looks good, so nothing does, you know? So I want to be having or keeping these challenges like in here so that if I ever find myself in that position, I can pick something up. Or if I don't want to be reading and for that reason nothing sounds good, that will help me decide. So that's what's happening here today. So the 3 challenges are the Book of the Month reading challenge. I have so many books from Book of the Month. I usually get more than one every month. I often just get 5 because they're so cheap and they're things that I want to be reading anyway and would probably just buy full price, like just on my own. And I can't remember what the actual challenges are off the top of my head, and I'm using my phone to record so I can't look, but it's like reading from a debut author, reading a variety of genres. The main goals are just like quantity of Book of the Month books you read. So like there's one for reading 15 of them, one for reading 30 of them. So I want to work towards those goals. I also want to complete the Goodreads reading challenge. So like that's where I have my like quantity goal, which is 50 for the year, as it is every year. But then they added this year like mini challenges, like sub challenges that are like genre based, or like they'll give a prompt based on like popular books. I don't really remember those off the top of my head either, but again, maybe I'm inserting a video right here. And then the other challenge is a challenge created by another YouTuber, Books and Lala. I will link the video for that challenge announcement down below. But every year she does the Buzzwordathon challenge. So each month has a buzzword. So for example, last year, one of the buzzwords was secret, and the title of the book had to have the word secret in it. And then sometimes there are like more umbrella terms. So I think one month, one of the words was like weather or like nature related words. Just like any word that fits some specific vibe. And then also, I think this is the first year she's doing that. In addition to the actual like word challenge, there are cover challenges. So each month you have to find a cover of a book with a certain thing going on the cover that fits the challenge. So I know for January, the Buzzwordathon prompt is truth and lies. So a book title that has truth or lies in it, and I don't think that's as flexible as like nature words, but it's a little bit flexible. So like instead of truth, maybe it could be truthful. Instead of lies, it could be like singular lie. And then the book cover challenge is pattern. So for that one, I'm going to try my best to find a book that fits both of those prompts. It fits truth and lies, so like the title has either of those words in it, and then it also has a consistent pattern as the cover. But per the rules of the Buzzwordathon challenge, you can do the prompts out of order, which my mood reading works better for me because maybe I don't want to read anything that would fit a prompt 1 month, but I would really like to read something that would fit a prompt 6 months from now. So I probably anticipate doing these out of order. So I'm going to try to do the January themes, but if I can't find anything, and I want it, this is very important, I want to do it from something I own. I will not be purchasing any books for this vlog. If you could see what's happening around me and the quantity of books around me, nothing more needs to be purchased. So I am going to try to follow the January prompts, both the word and the cover. But if I can't find anything that does that, then like I will at least fit one of those things. So like maybe I'll do the January words, but I'll do a different month's cover prompt. But by the end of the year, I would really like to have completed all 24 of those prompts, 12 for the word, 12 for the cover, no matter how many books that takes me to do. So that's what we're doing today. We are going to be reading not today, it's gonna take me like a week, but that's what this video is going to be about, reading 3 books, one that I can apply towards the Book of the Month challenge, one that I can apply towards the Goodreads challenge, and one that I can apply towards the Buzzwordathon challenge. Surely I could just read one book that would probably fit all 3 of those, but where's the fun in that? So I'm gonna find the books and then we're gonna talk about them, and then I will start reading them at some point after recording this. So I just took a look at Book of the Month. There are 2 audiobook-based challenges, which I will not be doing because I don't get my audiobooks from Book of the Month. So we're gonna focus on the other 4. 2 of them I can work towards no matter what I read. So one of them is to read a variety of genres. So I think any book that I choose will work towards that. And then the other one is to write a review. And again, I can accomplish any of that with any of these books. So we're gonna focus from there on the 2 other ones, one of them being to read from a debut author and the other to read a book over 400 pages. So I'm just gonna go through the books that I own that would accomplish those. The books that would accomplish the debut goal are The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, 1,000 Times Before by Asha Thonke, All We Were Promised by Ashton Lattimore, Dearest by Jackie Walters, and The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. Completing the over 400 pages goal, I have The Foxwife by Yongsi Chu, Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and Here One Moment by Leanne Moriarty. And then I also have A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeek. This accomplishes both of those things. So it seems to me like I should just go ahead and do A Short Walk Through a Wide World since it accomplishes both of those goals and I could be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But right after saying I want to stop mood reading, this just does not look like what I want to choose right now. And I could probably go ahead and read that later in the year and complete the goal that way. So I don't know if I'm going to choose this one. If I'm being real, all these other ones that are over 400 pages, I'm kind of gravitating more so right now. Maybe not Intermezzo, but oh, and honestly, not The Foxwife either. Okay, so maybe not this. Maybe it's kind of just Phantasma and Here One Moment. Phantasma is about a death game, and that just sounds so fun to me right now. And the synopsis of Here One Moment is just so ominous, it really intrigues me. For the debuts, I've been wanting to read I'll Be Your Promise for a really long time, but I don't know if I'm wanting to read a historical right this moment. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in the mood for any of these ones, but if I was gonna have to choose one of them, it would be The Teller of Small Fortunes. I think this is a cozy fantasy, and that seems like I could be interested in that right now. So I don't know, I think the three I'm gravitating towards are Here One Moment, Phantasma, and The Teller of Small Fortunes. I'm gonna take a look at the Goodreads challenge and see if any of those can help me make a decision on these. Okay, I am fucking spoiled for choice with these Goodreads pick. I'm gonna go through, there are 3 prompts. I'll go through them one by one. The first one is just like buzzy reads, so like just popular books right now. The first one is Holly by Stephen King, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, Prophet Song by Paul Lynch, The Measure by Nikki Ehrlich, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, Darling House by Alexi Harrow, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, Wayward by Amelia Hart, and Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. Next is specifically a fantasy prompt, so like just popular fantasy. First, we have When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill, A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden, Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, Kakai by Vaishnavi Patel, Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, and then also Wayward and Starling House make an appearance again, and, if you can believe it, A Short Walk Through a Wide World makes another appearance. And then the third prompt is historical. So first we have The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams, The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray, Lady Tan Circle of Women by Lisa C., Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, The Women by Kristen Hanna. Shout out my friend Adriana, she got me this for Christmas. And then again in this list, we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. So I'm just gonna go through some thoughts as far as like the buzzy prompt ones that stand out to me. I've been wanting to read Lessons in Chemistry for a long time, get into the UK cover. I hate the US cover. I did indeed order this from a website that sold UK books in the US. I can't remember what it's called, but needed this cover. If you watched my 2024 wrap up, you know I read The Outsider because I really love Holly Gibney, so I'm excited for her story. Booker Prize winner of 2023. I've been wanting to read this for a long time. Love R.F. Kuang, Babel and Yellowface are some of my favorite books, so this would be a good choice. I want to read Encyclopedia of Fairies, but me and my friend kind of agreed to buddy read this. We just haven't done it yet, and I would like to do it in spring because it just feels like such a spring read, so I don't know about doing it in January. The Song of Achilles I know I'd love, but I'm just not ready for it. Like, I'm not ready for the emotions I am certain this will make me feel, so I don't think this is my choice right now. So these 4 from that prompt I'm likely to read. From the fantasy prompt, I could be fine with any of them, but the 3 standouts for me are When Women Were Dragons. I've had my eye on this one for a long time. The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. There's another booktuber, her name is Meg with Books. The way she talks about Catherine Arden and the writing in this book just makes me really excited to read it. Without that endorsement and just like the way she endorses it, I would probably just like put this off for a long time, but hearing her talk about it makes me really excited to read this. And then when I saw this book on the list and thought about like, oh my God, I could like finally get to this book, like my mouth started watering. I got so excited. Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I kind of don't see myself not picking this, but let's talk about the historical. From the historical fiction, Lessons in Chemistry showed up in both of those lists, so that seems like a natural choice. But also, I've been wanting to read Lady Tan's Circle of Women for a really long time. So I have to decide which of these 8 books seem like they just need to be read this week. I don't know. Let's move on to the Buzzwordathon options, and then like looking at from all 3 challenges, the totality of the books I could be reading, like that could help me narrow some things down. They can make it through a video without changing challenge. Impossible. It makes me so hot to record for some reason. For the Buzzwordathon challenge, I really don't have a choice. Unfortunately, the only title that I actually own that has either truth, I'm like looking at my stacks to see if I missed anything, but the only book I own that has the word either truth or lie in it is Lie With Me by Philippe Besson. I'm guessing is how it's pronounced because it's French. I don't want to read this for the same reason I didn't want to read Song of Achilles. Like, it's just gonna devastate me. But it fits the prompt. I'm just gonna do it. It does not fit the cover prompt. So the cover prompt was like a pattern, and I wouldn't really call any of this that's happening a pattern, but it does fit the prompt for December, which is monochromatic. And despite the blue text, I would consider this monochromatic. So I'm gonna count it for that. What does this mean for my other two challenges? So what is that doing for me? It's sad, it's romance, it's literary. So I think for my other choices, I could have a little more fun with it. I was maybe thinking about avoiding some of the longer books, but because this is so short, like I could read something a little longer. So maybe I'll read something from the like over 400. Again, these were the options for that. Here One Moment and Phantasma. I think if I really wanted to be dishonest, I could just have my lie prompt be Phantasma because of Kaylee Smith. Pronounced Kaylee, but pay no attention to that. No, I'm not gonna do that. I think I might. Oh my god, do I want to do this for my Book of the Month challenge? It just seems so fun. I've made a decision. I have decided that in the interest of this being a goal accomplishment video, I should try and be accomplishing as many goals as possible. And in light of my acknowledgement that I would like to make an effort to not be a mood reader per se, I am going to go ahead and pick up A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Westerbeek. Westerbeek. This accomplishes, like, this was on so many of those lists that I just talked about. It said on Book of the Month that this counts for over 400 pages. But I just looked through and it's like 389. So I don't know what all that's about. But it was definitely in the debut author category. So that's going to accomplish that goal. It was in one of the Goodreads lists. So this is going to accomplish a lot of those things. So I'm going to just go ahead and pick this one up. So I'm going to, like, even though it counts for a few of the goals, I'm only going to officially have it count towards the Book of the Month challenge. But because this also goes toward the fantasy genre challenge on Goodreads, I'm not going to choose any of the fantasy books. So also in the interest of completing goals for this video, I'm going to go ahead, because what I really wanted to read, I was like positive I was going to choose Trust of the Emerald Sea. Like when I saw it, I was like, there's no way I'm not picking this. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the book that accomplishes the other two of the Goodreads goals that this does not accomplish. And that is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is going to be my pick. Watch the gag when a book cannot be applied to multiple challenges in Goodreads. I don't actually know if there's a rule on that, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It'll be great if this could check off two of those, but if it only goes towards one, then that's fine. I've been wanting to read this for a long time. I'm excited to get into it. I thought I was going to read Trust the Emerald Sea for the Goodreads thing, but I'm not opposed to this one. Like, I've been really looking forward to this, so it's fine. So these are the books for the vlog. This is the stack. We have Lie for the Buzzwordathon, and it's monochromatic for the Buzzwordathon of some month, not January, but I don't care about that. We have a historical fiction / buzzy popular book for the Goodreads challenge, and we have A Short Walk Through a Wide World for the Book of the Month challenge. Definitely the debut author one. Maybe it'll be applied to the over 400 pages one. I don't know, but this is gonna check off a few things, accomplish a few goals, and I'm excited. So I will update you as I get into these. I just lied to all of you. It is the next day. I just finished editing my 2024 wrap-up. That's gonna go up tomorrow, Sunday. I was about to get started reading the TBR for this video, and then Kayla from Books and Lala posted a video where she's gonna start reading for the Buzzwordathon challenge, which is what I'm going to be starting in this video. And she's going to be trying to complete the January word challenge, which is truth and lies, and the January pattern, or the January cover challenge, which is pattern. And she was going over all the books that could fit for both of those. And she found None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And I said, oh my God, I just yesterday told my vlog that the only book that I have that completes the word challenge is Lie With Me, but I have None of This Is True. Like, I don't know why I didn't think of it. I don't know why I didn't see it. I have None of This Is True. And it fits the word challenge, truth and lies, but also it fits the pattern. Like, this is a pattern, these houses. It fits the pattern challenge. So we're pivoting. This is a vlog about completing challenges. And Lie With Me, as I was actually getting really excited to read this one, it only completes one challenge. I'm trying to complete as many as I can. And this completes the word challenge. This completes the cover challenge. And I talked about the book of the month challenges. It doesn't complete the like debut author or the over 400 pages challenge, but one of the book of the month challenges is also just to read 15 book of the month books in the year. And so this is going to go towards that because I got it from book of the month. So I just have to pivot. And in fact, I already have because I started reading this. So let's talk about it. I was able to get it on audiobook also, and I have listened to and read up to through the first chapter. So there's a prologue, and then there is like a podcast part, and then it's the first chapter. So let's talk about what this is about. This is about a woman named Alex. She is the host of a true crime podcast. She's out for her birthday one day, her 45th birthday. And she meets a woman named Josie, who is also at the same restaurant to celebrate her 45th birthday. Turns out they were born on the exact same day at the exact same hospital. They meet. Alex is going to be inviting Josie on to her podcast. And according to the synopsis, very crazy happenings will be going on from there. I'm excited to get into it. I don't know any of that yet, but just based on through the first chapter, I'm enjoying this. The prologue starts with a mystery. Some man is leaving a hotel room. He meets a woman in a car, and it seems like maybe she poisons him. I have no idea. But there was some mystery to be unfolded there. And then the podcast portion, I have the same opinion that I have about Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay, which I talked about in my 2024 wrap-up. I think, only, 16 pages in, but I think this is going to be something that you need to listen to at tandem. You need to be reading it, and you need to be listening to the audiobook, because the production of that podcast portion was like a podcast. Like, it was like you were listening to a podcast. And there's things in here that's written, like the opening to it, screen is dark. Slowly the interior of a recording studio is revealed. The text on screen reads, and then reads recording from Alex Summers' podcast, blah, 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 whatever. But like, that's not read in it because it's supposed to be like you're listening to the podcast. So these like directions about what you would be seeing if you were, plugging in the recording and then listening to it, like, that's not there because you are listening to it. It's the audiobook. But then, like, because those portions are like you're listening to the audiobook, there are things that aren't being, so like in the written podcast part, it goes, the camera pans around the empty recording studio, zooming in on details, and then it describes some of those details to like, so you can like see, immerse you. But that's not in the audiobook because it's supposed to be like you're just listening to the podcast. So they're complementing each other. I think I am personally going to be tandem listening and reading, not exclusively just one or the other. And then when we actually get into the first chapter, it's when Alex and Josie meet straight away. It's their birthday. They're at the restaurant. They meet. I've already underlined something. I think I'm really going to like the writing. This is talking about Josie. It says, today is her 45th birthday. She finds it hard to believe. Once she'd been young and she'd thought 45 would come slow and impossible. She'd thought 45 would be another world. And that's how I felt about 29. I think I'm gonna enjoy this. Sorry to the Felipe Besson stands that are not gonna see me read this, because I know there are many of you who were so excited. Perhaps I'll get to this in another one, but the official TBR for this video is this. Lessons in chemistry, none of this is true, and a short walk through a wide world. Final answer. I'll update you when I'm a little bit more into this one. Okay, so I am this much way through None of This Is True, according to the audiobook. That is 60%. I am really, really enjoying this. Now that I am over halfway through, let me kind of tell you what it's about. This is about two women, Josie and Alex, who are birthday twins. They're both born on the same day, same year, even the same hospital, but they live very, very different lives. Alex is the host of a popular podcast. She has a wealthy husband. She has what Josie believes is kind of like the idealized life, a life that she would like to have. They're both married, they both have kids, but Josie had kids when she was 22, so her children are adults now, and she kind of feels like she didn't really get to make the most out of her life because she had kids young. Alex had her kids, I think her oldest is 6, so later in life she had time to get started with her life, get started with her podcast, and kind of make something of herself, as Josie sees it, before she became a mother. They're both at dinner one time. They both go to the same place for dinner for their birthday. They run into each other in the bathroom, and Josie introduces herself as her birthday twin. Because Josie kind of gets the sense that Alex is living this kind of idealized version of life, Josie is very clearly like jealous of Alex's life. Josie's life is in comparison, by her own analysis, is kind of like boring, dead-end humdrum. So she kind of becomes obsessed with Alex and sort of manipulates her way back into her life and on her podcast. So Alex's podcast is about, it features women's stories, and she had recently been doing this series where she interviews women who have recently had a change in their life, for better or worse. Some people have maybe just gone through a really tragic event, and that's the reason for the change. And Josie comes to Alex, kind of manipulates her way into running into her again, and says, I've been listening to your podcast and you've been interviewing women who've just had a change in their life. My life is not so exciting, but how would you feel about interviewing someone who is about to make a change in their life? That intrigues Alex, and so she takes the bait. She agrees to tell Josie's story, and we start to learn that this kind of mild, unassuming woman is not really what she seems. Things start to be revealed. One shock is revealed kind of early on. At the beginning, when we're starting to meet Josie and her family and her husband, one very important attribute of her husband is strategically not revealed to the reader, and it gets revealed when Josie and Alex do their first interview together for the podcast. And the again, like I said, this specific characteristic about her husband, and how that affects the dynamic of their relationship is revealed. And it is a very slow burn sort of story with this like ominous cloud over it. There's like this sense of foreboding laced within the story, and it starts with that revelation of Josie's husband, this thing that is revealed about him, and how that impacts the dynamic of their relationship. And from there, there's just kind of this dark cloud hanging over the story and hanging over Josie's character. This honestly kind of boring seeming woman whose life has unfolded in the way that it has because of this dynamic between her and her husband is unexpected, and it slowly revealed how that has impacted the rest of her life. It's honestly really unsettling and unexpected. And as we're learning those things about her, we're also just seeing that she is honestly maybe a little bit unhinged. She starts to kind of get this obsession with Alex and with her life and with this idea of what her life maybe could have been, because like they're birthday twins. They were born in the same on the same day, the same hospital, the same year. Like we're birthday twins. Like, could this have been my life? Maybe, she thinks. So there's this kind of theme of obsession that is surrounding this whole story, and it just gets more and more uncomfortable as the story goes on. What I'm waiting for though is this right here. So it's like it's really good so far. Like it has me, Lisa Jewell has me at the end of her string. Like she's stringing me along, and I am, this is a very unsettling story, but if this is to be trusted, none of it is true. So I'm just waiting to see, like, where are we going? Because I've reached a point in this book, if you've read it, then you know, Josie and her husband have just had dinner at Alex's house, and the consequences of that dinner have happened. And Josie and Alex have continued with their interviews for the podcast, and the things regarding Josie's children have started to be revealed. So that's where I'm at. And of course, if you've read it, you know that's all like really, really disturbing. And it's like just kind of a shocking story. Like at its face, reading it, it's like really shocking. And then Lisa Jewell's writing is just so good. Like she just has a way of writing things with such sort of disturbing clarity. So it's just really good and really captivating. It kind of produces that same sick fascination that just like any kind of like true crime podcast or documentary produces. Like, oh my God, this thing can really happen. Like, this is terrible. But in this case, none of it is true. So I'm waiting to see, where does it go? Like, how does this play into it? Because this has not played into it yet. And there have been these warning signs throughout, but at this point in the story, we have no reason to believe that Josie is an unreliable narrator. But this is telling us she is. So I'm like, where are we going? And how I feel right now is I think this is either going to be 5 stars or 3 stars. I don't see myself in this last 40%. I don't see her ruining this so much that I'm going to give it less than a 3, because I really am engaged so far and I really like her writing. But what's going to determine it for me is, how does this play into it? This is promising a gag. This is promising a shock, a twist, a goop. Like, this is going to determine my final enjoyment of this, because I can be loving it the entire time. And I really am. I'm really, really loving this. But I'm expecting something. You have made me, with your title, expect something. And if it doesn't get done, then that's gonna affect my final enjoyment of this. But how I feel right now is this is either going to be a 5-star or a 3-star. Like, this is either going to conclude with a bang and it's going to be 5, or it's just going to kind of fizzle and it's going to be a 3. And I can see, just because I've read some thrillers that fizzle, I can see how this could possibly not fulfill its promise. You are saying something with this title, and you better deliver. So those are my thoughts right now, and I just am excited to see where it goes. Hi, my aardvark box came in, and I thought it'd be fun to unbox it with you while I tell you why I'm giving None of This Is True 3 stars. Yup, it's 3 stars. It did exactly what I said I would give it 3 stars if it did. It did exactly that. Is this like new angle giving? I don't really like that it's not natural lighting. But like the spot I usually sit in is like the only place in my apartment that gets natural lighting. And I just thought it was getting a little boring. So I'm here now. This aardvark box is going to be a surprise to both of us because I don't remember what I got for... I thought I only got 2 books, but it feels like maybe there's 3 in here. I don't remember what I got for my monthly pick. I just remember what I got for my back catalog pick, but I don't remember what I got for my monthly box. So let's see. This is going to be a surprise. It's whatever this is. I can't see it. It is... Oh, true. I did get this. Moth Eater by Linda H. Codiga. I don't know how to pronounce that. This is queer fantasy of some kind, I believe. In a startling and nuanced queer fantasy set amid the beauty of the Appalachian Mountains. I'm sold. I don't need to know anymore. I think there might be some horror elements if I remember correctly. Sounds fun. That is so beautiful. If y'all have not gotten into aardvark, you should really get into aardvark. Like, their quality is always giving. Like, I wish we had 4D. Like, I wish you could feel, like, just how the covers feel. And then when you take, or the dust jacket, I should say. And then when you take the dust jacket off and feel the actual cover, like, they just have, like, a glossiness. Like, their quality control eats. This is not sponsored. Not sponsored. And then, yes, I got Colored Television by Danzy Senna. I have been seeing this on so many end of year lists. I think actually PBS also shouted it out on their, like, at the end of every year, they have a couple book critics come on and talk about their favorite books of the year, and this got a shout out there. And I don't remember what it's about, but I've just been seeing it everywhere. It's like a writer, funny, piercing, and page-turning. Colored Television is Senna's most on-the-pulse, ambitious, and rewarding novel yet. Sounds great. Ooh, I like this, like, chocolate with this pink. Does it show on camera? It looks chocolate. I don't know if it looks chocolate on camera, but pretty. Okay. Let's talk about None of This Is True. Yes, it did indeed fizzle. It fizzled. Here's the thing. Let me get it. Hold on. Here's the thing. It is not uncommon in thrillers for there to be some sort of unreliable narrator type beat. Like, that's a trope. And you are alluding to that trope with this title. And if you do not subvert that trope in some way, then this is just a spoiler. Like, this title is just a spoiler at that point. And it didn't subvert that in any way. Like, we were, I mean, the title, yes, but also the synopsis gives away that this woman, Josie, comes into Alex's life under the guise of having some interesting thing for her podcast. And then, like, it says in the synopsis, as quickly as she had arrived, Josie disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake. So we know the whole time that something is happening and that Josie can't be trusted for some reason. The synopsis tells us that. The title tells us that. We know it's coming. And that's just it. That's just it. She can't be trusted. She is unreliable. She does leave a terrifying legacy in her wake, and none of this is true. It all happens, and it's not challenged in any way. So that's all just a spoiler. And I'm so confused. Like, why would you tell us all of that if you're not going to do anything with it? Like, you're telling us that Josie comes into Alex's life, comes onto her podcast, tells her about really traumatic, unsettling, disturbing things that happen in her life, and none of it is true. You're telling us. So what's the point? I just didn't understand the point. One of the major themes throughout this book is abuse and cycles of abuse. And I thought that whatever was going to be happening towards the end, that this was ostensibly taking us to, that never actually happened, but where I thought the book was going to go in terms of challenging the trope of the unreliable narrator, if I had to like water it down to what I thought was going to happen, like that's what I thought was going to happen. And then where I thought it was going to go with that is taking those themes it brings up of abuse and abuse victims and cycles of abuse and analyze those in some way and have some sort of conversation about abused people. And it just doesn't. It just doesn't do that. But because it brings up abuse in various forms, and because it does not analyze abuse in any way, and because it does not challenge the idea of unreliable narrators or unreliable people, this just comes across victim blamey, low-key. Like, not to absolve Josie of anything, because she truly does leave a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake. She really does do that. And so she can't be absolved of anything. Like, she did what she did and she is fucked up for that. But you, Lisa Jewell, have created all these terrifying, disturbing, abusive situations and then just left your character to be the bad guy. And it just feels victim blamey. So I was disappointed with that. I do really like the writing, and I cannot ignore that for the first half to 70%, I was like really on the hook. So like I have to give it credit for that. But after the 70 to 80% mark, it started to lose me a little bit. And then in the last like 20%, this book committed the cardinal Jakey K. Reed sin. And it left me wishing it would just end. I just wanted it to end. After things are revealed, it spends way too much time on the cleanup, on the wrapping up of the story. And I just wished it would end. And that is a great way to lose a star if your audience is Jakey K. Reed's, which in this case it was. So I'm giving this a 3. I don't know which of the next 2 books I'm going to get to first, but you are going to find out right now. Okay, so I decided to go with Lessons in Chemistry for the second book. And I am just over 75% of the way. I've gotten through this. And I just don't think that there's any way this book is going to be able to wrestle a 5-star out of me. It's feeling like a very strong 4. And with only 20% of the book left to go, that's probably where we're going to end up. And if I'm going to give a full analysis of how I'm feeling right now, I have to start with my journey with these covers. So this is the US cover. This is the UK cover. The US cover I absolutely hate. And the reason for that is because it looks like a romance. Like the way that the character's face is like looking to the side, like it just looks playful. It looks silly. It looks like a romance. It looks like some like Ali Hazelwood type beat. Like it looks like it's giving love theoretically to me. So when this book was like really big and had just come out and was on all the lists and was in every window of every bookstore, I saw this cover and just wasn't interested because, not to shade any Ali Hazelwood girlies, but that's just not what I am interested in. So I never picked it up. And then come to find out from reviews that it was not on some Ali Hazelwood type beat, and it was more about this woman in science, not respected in her field, ends up getting a cooking show where she uses chemistry to cook and to teach housewives to cook, and also teaching them chemistry. And that just sounded so incredible. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds like something to read. This cover does not give that at all. I want a cover that's going to give that. And so I found the UK edition and got that. And then also, if we can just get into when we remove the dust jacket, like, this is all just giving more The Promised vibes. Okay, and so the reason I'm not really vibing with it as much as I would like to is because the actual content of the book is more giving this. So let's just start from the beginning. The synopsis and all reviews make it seem like it is less of a romance and more a historical fiction about a woman in science. The first quarter of the book is romance. It's about her, and yes, she is a working chemist. She is a woman in science. It talks about her when she was in grad school and some experiences she had there, bad ones, being a woman in science when she was in grad school. It's probably like the 40s at that point, or early 50s. In the present day, she is a working chemist. She works in a lab. She is the only, it seems, female scientist in the lab. There are other women she works with, but they're all like secretaries. They're not the scientists. She's very obviously not respected. She's written as very strong-willed, no nonsense, doesn't take any shit, and her coworkers are all written as very obviously just thinking that she's a stuck-up bitch. So that's where we find her. And then there is just the one man in the lab, Nobel Prize winning Calvin Evans, famous scientist, who falls in love with her mind. And then the first quarter, going towards the first half of the book, is all about their romance. And they join a rowing team. And the chemistry of it all, the science of it all, just sort of takes a back seat for like a long time. And we stay with that as the framing, like her being a scientist and her having a very analytical mind and being very objective about everything, and biology and chemistry and natural laws framing her worldview. Like, that's that stays as the sort of atmosphere. But as far as the actual plot goes and what's actually happening in the book, like, we're not really in the science. And that's where I was hoping we'd be. So it took a long time to get where the book promised, which was the cooking show. I was interested in the cooking show of it all. Like, a cooking show based in, or like hosted by this chemist, and using that to do the cooking. Like, that's what I was interested in. And then like that plus the historical backdrop of like a woman in science in the 50s, like, I was interested in that, and it just took a really long time to get there. Another thing that's been sort of putting me off with this book is because of who the main character's name is. Elizabeth. I don't think I said that, but because of who she is and the mind that she has and the setting that we're in, she very obviously is surrounded by misogyny, not just for her job, her brain, but also she's a mother, and she's a single mother, and her child was born out of wedlock. So in this time frame, she's surrounded by a lot of misogyny. But the way certain events that she experiences play out are almost cartoonish in a way. And conversations about misogyny, women in science, the way women are viewed in the workplace, that the author wants to have with the reader, she turns into conversations between the characters in a way that just sort of read as, I don't want to say unrealistic, because I will never be surprised by the horrible things men say and do to women, but it's just the things that the author wants to portray, she puts as dialogue, when I think a lot of the dialogue would have been better left as just the narrator analyzing the situation rather than the characters actually going on a back and forth. So it wasn't really the events that were happening that I found cartoonish. It was more so the dialogue that I found to be cartoonish. Like, I don't find anything that happens in here to be disbelievable by any stretch, but the things characters say to make a point, for the author to make a point to the reader, I think maybe would have been better left as prose rather than dialogue. I also just am finding this book to be a little bit too omniscient. Like, we are even in the dog's head, which there's a way to make an animal a character, which I am just not meshing with in this book, as opposed to in Remarkably Bright Creatures, where Marcellus becomes a character with thoughts and feelings that we, the reader, get to know about. I don't find it to be as effective in this book. And it's not just the dog. It's like, we are in everybody's head, and I'd like to just be with Elizabeth. I think really what I was hoping to get out of this, that I'm getting a little bit, but is not the entirety of the book, is just her as a chemist working on this TV show. And the synopsis says, Elizabeth Zott isn't just teaching women to cook, she's daring them to change the status quo. And I just want to see more moments of her on the show doing that. They're just not giving enough of her in the workplace, her on the show, her on the set, her filming. Like, I just want to see more of that. Despite all of those criticisms, I am absolutely in love with the writing. Like, just Bonnie Garmis as a writer. I may have my critiques about the way the story is being told, but she is just so funny. Like, she's just so funny. This book is funny. Like, I'm like laughing as I'm reading this. One of the side characters is Elizabeth's neighbor. She like really hates her husband, but she's also very religious and is very much in her relationship still in her marriage, because it's like, I signed a contract with God type beat. So Elizabeth is an atheist, and so we're in the neighbor, her name is Harriet, we're in her head, and she's just thinking about her relationship with God and what religion means for her marriage. And she says, God is why they were still married, and why their marriage was her burden to bear, because it was given to her by God. God was big on burdens, and he made sure everyone got one. So like that, in that sentence, like, Bonnie Garmis is sort of analyzing this idea of like the vengeful God, talking about everyone gets burdens. So she's like making a point here, and then she, in that same paragraph, this is the very next line, she kind of breaks it with this humor and says, besides, if you didn't believe in God, you also didn't get to believe in heaven or hell. And she very much wanted to believe in hell because she very much wanted to believe her husband was going there. So she just like has this like this cutting humor that is interspersed throughout all the like real conversations that she wants to have about you know, these topics. We talk about religion, we talk about misogyny. Like, she wants to have these meaningful conversations, but throughout all of those conversations is just this wit. So I'm really loving the writing. And despite my criticisms about how, like, the way certain things are playing out, just like the overall point of the book about a woman in the 50s, very much outside of a woman's place as it was believed to be back then. The way that she handles herself throughout everything. And the way she like takes this very objective approach to cutting down misogynistic views. Like at one point, she's talking to the like the producer of her show, and at the start of the show, it's not supposed to be a science show. Like, she turns it into that. She's described as very, very beautiful. So they just wanted like a sexy person that they could dress up and cosplay a housewife under the guise of relatability. And she's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that. And at some point she's talking to the producer, and he's saying like, well, this is my job. Like, women want XYZ thing. And she's like, well, I'm a woman and I don't want that. And that theme is like laced throughout the book, where she's like dealing with all these men who like think they know what women want, need, etc. And she's like, okay, well, I'm a woman and that's not the case. And she sort of breaks down those viewpoints that those characters have in a very like scientific, objective way. And I just like it. I just like her. I just love her as a character. I think she's so well done because of her science-minded brain, her analytical brain. She like leaves no room for any sort of subjectivity in her own views or in anybody else's. Like, there's another example. We learn early on that her brother is gay. And again, it's the 50s. And she's talking to Calvin, who she's in a relationship with, and she tells him that. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, for what? And she like goes on about how like homosexuality is just like a fact of nature. And she gives like unsubjective, like scientific reasons as to why that's not a problem. And like that just happens at several points throughout the book with several different issues. Like, here's the scientific reason why people's subjective and bigoted views are just incorrect. And I just think that's really well done. I think she is really well done. So there's so much that I'm liking about this. But I think where I am just a little bit thrown off is just like the way the story is being told. Like, I really like the writing, but just the way the story is being told is what's holding me a little bit further away from enjoying it as much as I'd like to. And then it's also just kind of not what it promised. Like, it's taking way too long to get to the show. I want to see the cooking show. I want to see the chemistry cooking show, and it's just taking too long, and we're almost done, and I haven't gotten as much as I want to. And I want to see her on her show teaching women about chemistry, teaching women, housewives, to, you know, feel empowered. And that's another thing that I'm really liking, because she's a scientist. She has a master's degree. She's a working chemist, and she has her show, her chemistry show, still telling women to like take pride in homemaking and take pride in being wives and mothers, because that is hard work too. And there's conversations about how men get to go to work and then come home and relax, and like that's accepted, but women are at home all day being expected to keep house and go grocery shopping and take care of the kids and do all this and all that, and you just never get a break. And where she could have sort of this misogynistic view about, well, stay-at-home mothers have it easy, she very much doesn't have that, and she uses her show to empower women in their homemaking through their cooking. And yeah, I just really love it, and I want more. But it spent half the book being a romance. So, okay, I finished lessons in chemistry. I don't have any new thoughts. Everything I said in the last clips, I still feel. I am gonna end up giving this a 4. I really enjoyed my time. I don't have anything new to add, but I enjoyed it. I consider this a win. I wish it was a 5. I was really thinking this would be a 5, but we don't always get what we want. So I have started a short walk through A Wide World. In fact, I only have this much left. So not only have I started it, I'm almost done with it. I've had nothing to say. I've just had nothing to say. I'm not enjoying it. This, I think, would be really good for fans of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I really enjoyed that book. That's a 5-star for me. This has the same sort of like vibe of feeling lost, of feeling like you are not a part of the world, you're just in it. It has the same sort of wandering quality that The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue has. This is about a girl who, when she is 9 years old, for reasons that still are not yet clear to me, I don't know if they become clear, but she develops this illness that makes it so that she needs to continue moving. If she stays in any one place for more than a few days, she will start to die. She'll start to bleed out of everything. Her bones will start to fail, her body will start to fail, and she'll die. And if she does not leave the immediate area, not even the immediate area, it's like full cities, she just cannot return to them after a few days, and she just needs to continue wandering. This is set in, it begins in the early 1800s, but it's set like in our world. So it's not really a fantasy in that way, but there is a sort of a surrealism aspect, sort of a mysticism about it, where just as she travels and is forced to travel for decades, she just stumbles upon things that maybe the average person living in the world would not stumble upon, that are mystical and fantastical in some ways. So it has that sort of vibe to it. I think a good comp also is The Alchemist. If you enjoyed that, then I think you could enjoy this. The thing with this, though, is that I wish it had the same brevity that The Alchemist has. This would make a fantastic novella. It's 2 for me so far, with about 100 pages left and 280 behind me. I'm finding that it's too much of a good thing. I really enjoy the writing. I really enjoy the story, the vibe, the sort of feeling that you get from The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, where it just seems like the entire world is open to her to explore as she chooses, but against her will. It's that same sort of dreamless, or dreamy, I should say, aimless quality of just being. And it's just that for so long. And each place we find this character, her name is Aubrey, each place we find her throughout her life, I don't really feel like it's adding anything. Like, I just feel like there's so much of this that could be cut away. So many points in her life, and the places she is, and the people she meets, and the experiences she has. I don't think one does not add at all to what she's already experienced. And so it's just kind of a lot of the same. She ends up in a place, she meets someone, she doesn't want to go. It's just that, and it's just been that. And it's getting a little old. So, but at 280 pages, there are mysteries to be revealed. There are things to know. There are answers to, or there are questions that need answers. So I'm hoping that some intrigue is reintroduced in these last 100 pages. But after almost 300 pages now, I have gotten to the point where I'm kind of over it. We're not getting anything new from the wonderful vibes we've curated here, and they are wonderful vibes. I think that those vibes would be really impactful if I was done with this by now. Like, we're 280 pages in. If this was just done at this point, I would be happy with it. If it was the length of The Alchemist, I think I would find this really successful. But at this point, I just feel like it lacked an editor. It's feeling in the 3 to 4 star range. That's where I'm at right now. We'll see what the next 100-ish pages have to offer. So imagine you have a delicious cake sitting right before you. And it has so many elements of cakes that you know you love. Like, it's the right frosting, it has the right filling. Like, there are just so many parts about it that you've had before and you know you love. And you have a slice and you really love this too. Like, this is a great mix of different elements that you've loved before in cake. And then you say, I could have a second slice of this. Like, I could have a little bit more, but after a couple slices, like, you're just gonna get sick. Like, you can't have the whole cake because it's just too much and you just need to be done eating the cake at some point. Finishing this book was like eating the whole cake. It did not need to be this long. It just didn't need to be this long. That's like my lasting thought. Like, this could have ended at so many points. And it committed the same sin that None of This Is True committed, in that I just wanted it to be over. So they get the same rating. They're both a 3. Which of these do I like more? I had more fun with this one, I think. But it like really pissed me off at the end. And then this, like, I just thought was really nice. Like, I wouldn't say I had fun, but it's like a really pretty story and a really like dreamy sort of surreal atmosphere that I like to be in. But I wouldn't say it's fun. It's just like nice. But like, and it didn't piss me off, but I was just over it. Like, I was just over it. So I don't know which one of these I like more. I think I'm gonna need to sit with the feelings that I have from both of these and see which one I look back on and feel more favorably about. But Lessons in Chemistry, I think, was a win. I gave this a 4. And despite my criticisms of it, I have, since I finished it these past few days, been thinking about this book very fondly. I thought this was great. I really liked it. No book is perfect. A 4 is not a bad score. So we have a win here. And I don't think these were losses. Like, I'm not upset that I read these. Like, 3 is not horrible either. Like, a 3 is fine. These are fine books. And like this one especially, like, I think I could recommend to people. Like, if you like, what did I say? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue or The Alchemist. Like, I think this has similar vibes to both those books. I loved both those books. I gave both those books 5 stars. I don't feel the same towards this, but somebody else might. This is just like an easily recommended thriller. Like, it's just like an easy book to recommend broadly. Although there are some like I said, there are some like trigger warnings in here that people should look up that like I don't think are handled very well. So actually maybe it's not a great book to recommend in that sense. But like if you aren't triggered by those things, then just like the mystery and the pace of it all, like, I think is easy. So I don't think these are losses. These were fine. This was really good despite its criticisms. I thought this was great. I think back on this fondly. And this was the TBR. So thank you for following along as I got into these. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Psych! We're not done because I didn't even update you on the goals. I completely forgot. So let's start with the Goodreads challenges. The first challenge was the Buzzy book, so just like popular reads. And I think Lessons in Chemistry was on that list, but I had forgotten that also None of This Is True was on that list because I like changed books and I didn't check. But so this accomplished that goal. And then the next one was the Epic Quest for Fantasy Reads, and A Short Walk Through a Wide World accomplished that goal. And then the other one was the Era Explorer, which is like historical fiction, and Lessons in Chemistry accomplished that one. So I completed all those goals. Perhaps I'm posting a picture here showing that. And then the Book of the Month ones, the first one was Book Boss. So like that one is to just read 15 Book of the Month books throughout the year. So these both counted for that. And then A Short Walk Through a Wide World got me the Debut Darling badge, because this was a debut, and the Long Hauler badge, because apparently this is counting this as 400 pages, even though there's 380. And then these both got me towards the Hot Taker badge, which is just like writing a review in Book of the Month, and the Omnivore Reader badge, which is like reading from a variety of genres. So again, perhaps a picture is here. I haven't finished all of these because it takes a few books to get those badges, but I've made progress towards them. And then here is maybe the Books in Lala readathon spreadsheets, pictures, whatever, showing how that has been filled out by, none of this is true. I forgot which book I had read for that, but none of this is true got me towards the Truth and Lies prompt and the pattern on the cover prompt. So we are now officially done with the video. Again, here are the books. This was my favorite. These two were both 3s. It's the next day. I still have not decided which one of these I preferred versus the other one. But I think I will have that decision made up by the time the January wrap-up video comes. Anyway, okay, goodbye for real.